Welcome to another VeVe Digital Collectibles comic breakdown. I'm Corey with VeVe, and if you remember back to that first appearance of Scott Lang comic that we recently had drop, Avengers 181, well, today's comic is the first appearance of the hero he would become, Ant-Man. That's right, Marvel Premiere number 47 will be shrinking its way onto the platform on Monday, February 20th at 8 a.m. Pacific time, minting 10K editions across the 5 rarities. This blind box will have a retail price of 6.99 gems. Let's dig right into the history of this book. Published on April 10th of 1979, we learn the story of how Scott Lang finished his prison sentence, promised his daughter he'd turn his life around, stayed true to that promise by landing a job at Stark Industries installing security systems, and then tragedy strikes. His daughter falls ill with a serious heart issue. Thus, the story of how Scott Lang ended up getting Hank Pym's Ant-Man suit begins. It's a classic doing the wrong thing for the right reasons kind of thing. And just in case you aren't clear on this, Scott Lang is the second person to assume the mantle of Ant-Man. The original Ant-Man and creator of the suit and technology was Hank Pym, a character and story that would be introduced back in 1962 in Tales to Astonish number 27. As for this comic, Marvel Premiere number 47, we're getting more than just a first appearance of Scott Lang as Ant-Man. This is his daughter Cassie's first appearance. We have the first appearance of Emma the Ant, who was the first ant Scott ever rides into battle. And we also have the first appearance of Darren Cross, who would later become a primary adversary of Ant-Man, as he would later steal the mantle of Yellowjacket. And Scott Lang as Ant-Man would find sporadic use after this premiere issue. A loner by nature, he'd find himself supporting a lot of different superhero teams. In Fantastic Four number 384, he joined the team to fill in for Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, who was believed to be dead or missing. Later, he'd refuse an invitation from Captain America to join the Avengers, but have a change of heart, becoming a full-fledged member of the Avengers in Avengers number 62. From here, he'd have a great presence in Guardians of the Galaxy, the Future Foundation, and he even was a hero for hire for a time. Most recently, he appeared in a short self-titled comic solo series. Beyond the pages, Scott Lang as Ant-Man has obviously seen a lot of use in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This includes multiple movies, cameos, and most recently in Marvel Studios' Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And that's a movie I'm super excited to see that I haven't got a chance to yet. Now switching gears back to the comic and look at our VeVe exclusive rare and ultra rare covers. These are coming from Sergio Davila and Sean Parsons. And these two have collaborated multiple times to produce VeVe exclusive variants already. My favorite is Journey into Mystery 83, but X-Men 25 and New Mutants 87 were also epic pieces of cover art. Let's dust off the magnifying glass and take a look at all of the covers, editions being minted, and the different rarities. First, we have the common classic cover, which is minting 6,000 editions. I love this cover. The cover artist for this one was Bob Layton, and it's so well done. The way the magnifying glass is centered and the title of the comic bends with it, the threat of the pistol barrel fixed on Ant-Man and his faithful ant steed, Emma, the pose and facial expression. It's just a classic piece of art from the era, and a comic that's going to look stellar as a display piece. Next, the uncommon vintage variant is minting 2,250 editions. And Ant-Man gets the color selection for this one, which is appropriate given this is his first appearance. With a focus on Ant-Man, we can really start to appreciate the art techniques. There's a mixture of halftone shading and Ben-Day dots. For those of you unfamiliar, the use of small dots in printing is called Ben-Day dots, titled this way after the 19th century illustrator and printer Benjamin Henry Day, who developed this method. It's really cool to see this in practice close up on a cover. The rare hero variant in our first VeVe exclusive cover is minting 1,000 editions. Parsons uses bold lines on Emma the Ant and finer lines on Ant-Man himself, and this really focuses your eye on the modern adaptation of this cover. The sketchwork and boldness of Emma versus the detail on Ant-Man creates a lot of depth, making this a cover that's easy to stare at. The ultra rare vibranium variant is minting 500 editions. Shadows and highlights on Emma provide even more depth, and the debris trail behind them adds a lot of forward motion. Most of the original title placards and logos remain from the original, with some minor modifications throughout. All in all, this is a really dynamic cover featuring the first appearance character, Ant-Man. Last, the secret rare True Believer variant is minting 250 editions. This interior panel pull is being taken from this page, and we're getting a ton of motion, action, and the use of onomatopoeia. The interior art for this book was created by the legendary John Byrne, so this variant cover could be attributed to him as well. This variant does a phenomenal job of showing what Ant-Man is all about in one single image. And that's a wrap for this info dump. For you Scott Lang and Ant-Man fans, you've got both bases covered now. Both of the comics are on the platform. It's wild to think these characters, created 40 years ago, are still getting so much use to this very day. Speaking of history, I've got more of it to research. Until the next video, learn, share, collect what you love. This is Corey with VeVe, signing off.